Okay. Mike, are you on intro?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. It's up. Claira, of course, we would love if you shared to your what, like 27,000 followers. That would be, yeah. It's very good that we feel like we're platforming you. Yeah. But you do know that you're sharing audio, so everybody who watches like the start screen can hear us, right? Okay, good.
That's the beauty of it. This clusterfuck.
How can I share it though?
Just go onto the link and copy and paste and share. That way. Well, go onto my Facebook. I've literally just shared it as my status.
All right.
Yeah, that's why I said I've just posted it. So just go on my Facebook and.
Could have just sent it to me, couldn't he, directly, and then it would.
Well, no, because I'm sharing it too.
Don't worry about it.
God, I'm such an Amish boy when it comes to blooming tech.
I've got it. I found it. I'm just going to share it.
God, such an Amish boy when it comes to blooming tech.
I've got it. I found it. I'm just going to share it.
Yep.
You going to dance?
No. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bin Podcast. This is just a podcast where we talk about everything that's going on in the world in a layman's style. And we invite people on here to educate us about stuff we don't know about because we freely admit we know nothing. And I would like to introduce my fellow podcasters. Mikey. And over here we have Brenna, super producer.
Hello, everybody.
And then all the way over there in Norwegian Norway, Jartan.
I'm Norwegian, but I still live in Sweden, you wanker. It's like saying you're fucking, you live in Essex, but like you're in Scotland or something, dude. Come on.
Sorry. Yeah.
But yeah, hi, by the way.
And today we have a very, very special guest. She is a broadcaster. She's a personal development coach. She's generally the most positive person I know. That is Miss Claira Hermet. Hello, Claire.
Hey, welcome, Claire.
Hey, sorry, I'm looking at my phone because I'm still trying to share everything.
All right.
Yay.
I am here. I'm listening.
Yes.
And I
Well, thank you
appreciate
for coming on, Claire.
Thank you for inviting me.
Appreciate it. And if you wouldn't mind just telling the lovely listeners and viewers a little bit about yourself in your own words, rather than me ballsing it up.
How long have we got? 4
Just
hours? Anyone? It all started. I have to be careful because I can go off on a tangent and I can ramble. So I'll try and keep it short and sweet. So
Yeah, that would be the first time ever on this podcast anybody did that. So it would be a new experience for us.
On.
Yeah, have a look at our back catalogue.
So I think that my story really starts when my mum passed away when I was 9 years old, and that's kind of like where my story starts, because I think up until that point my life was it was really good. It was like pretty idyllic. My parents were really like good fun, so life was really good. And then my mum died of breast cancer, and unfortunately none of us knew that she was actually going to die, so it was like a complete shock. And then my family's way of dealing with it was to kind of pretend that it didn't happen and just carry on. And that really made my childhood, my teenage years, and pretty much all of my 20s incredibly chaotic. And the presenting and broadcasting thing happened completely by mistake. In fact, I used to be painfully shy and I would struggle to talk to anyone. I would struggle to make phone calls. I was a bit of a nightmare. So the fact that I've ended up in this profession is insane. But I was drunk at a party, and when I was drunk, I was more talkative. And I met someone who had a TV channel, and this guy was like, "Oh, I think you'd be really great." And I was like, "Yeah, of course, I'd be amazing." And I had to go and do a screen test. So I woke up the next day, I had this guy's card, and I was like, oh, now I'm sober. And I'm thinking, I can't call him. Like, I can't talk to him. I don't know how to talk to people. And the guy that I was with at the time was like, no, you have to call him. Like, you have to do it. So I did. I got invited for the screen test. I drank before I went to the screen test. I was still terrible. Like, if that video ever surfaces, it's the most cringe-worthy whole entire life.
I'm glad you said that, Clara, because if we look here...
Okay, so let me pull up the clip real quick.
No, I don't think it exists. Don't think it exists. We're all right. It was a long time ago. But I got the job anyway, somehow. The producer of the show was like, no way, we can't have her. But the guy that owned the channel was like, no, she'll be fine. And my first night before I started, he gave me a couple of glasses of wine and just kind of pushed me. And it was fine. There was something that happened to me, like when I was in front of a camera, that I just could step into being a different person, which was like a really interesting phenomenon for me. I ended up working for Sky, and I'd started working for them for their gaming channel. And then my older sister, who was 2.5 years older than me, was diagnosed with breast cancer. She was 25. And in my head, I was just like, oh my God, it's happening again. It's happening again. And so I started getting stress-induced vertigo and panic attacks, which at the time I was like, no, that would never happen to me. It's not panic attacks. It's clearly something else. Right. I ended up... Yeah, so I was like convinced it had to be something physical that could be explained. It was nothing wrong with my mental health. So I ended up spending £1,500 having a brain scan to discover I didn't have a brain tumor. Funny that. And then I kind of had to face what was happening. So my sister Emily was ill for 6.5 years, and sadly she passed away. It's 8 years ago now that she died. And her death, I was 28 when she died, was like the turning point for me, where I was like, right, I've spent the last 28 years of my life, since I was 9, all my adult life thus far, just living in a chaotic mess emotionally. And now is time to fix things. Like, I have a choice, and my mum and my sister can't be here. I am here. So I'm going to find a way to change it. And that journey has been going since then and continues to go now. And I am in just a completely different place. And that is all thanks to spirituality, to personal development. And that led me to wanting to be a coach myself. So hopefully that sums it up.
Oh, awesome. I think that definitely...
Way better said than anything we've ever said. So now
it's almost like she's a professional broadcaster.
She knows. She understands.
Brenda, what I need you to do is just segment that out, send it over to me.
Uh-huh.
You can learn how to talk on a microphone.
Okay.
Because
good.
That's how you do that.
Yeah.
You are setting the bar very high for future guests, which is good. I want them to come out.
I'm sure that'll be fine.
My level of maturity.
Nice. There's a massive cock behind you.
It doesn't need an explanation at all. It's just a chicken.
By the way, I did inform Clara of the in joke about the chickens. So.
Oh, that's not as.
Did you? I don't think I remember. I don't think my memory's very good.
Hey. It's hey.
So, your story is 1,000% inspirational and amazing.
What's that?
You like tattoos.
I do like tattoos, yeah.
So what's your favorite tattoo? I know it's like picking a child, like which one is your favorite, but so thrown.
Oh, I don't know if I can do that.
You gotta, it's a show, you gotta pick one.
It's so hard.
Is it in a position that you can show us? Because I don't want you to be
probably like... actually, yeah. I think my favourite one is this. I don't know if I'll be able to get it on this camera though, and it's here. It's a horse.
Oh wow!
Oh damn!
That's really nice.
So that's my favorite one. But my friend, he's done all of these tattoos, so he's pretty good. Then I've got like a Shakti Shiva tattoo here, and a palm tree. Got loads of them going on, and then I've got them on my hands as well, which my dad is really upset about. But never mind.
He thinks what, you'll never be able to find work with tattoos on your hand.
No, not that. I don't think he cares about that. He just doesn't understand. He doesn't get the concept. He was like, "Why are you trying to colour yourself in? What is this?" And I'm like, "It's tattoos." Then he makes me go through each one and tell him what each one means. And I'm like,
so to go back to your story,
Yeah.
because you are a very outspoken vegan, very into your spirituality. How did that element manifest itself into your life and into your personal growth?
which one? The veganism?
Well, both, because I think they're kind of intertwined, really, aren't they?
I don't know. I think a bit spirituality happened first, because I think it is kind of like the essence of all personal development stuff. And it happened because somebody, just not too long before my sister passed away, someone that knew both of us gave us the Secret DVD. The Secret's all about the law of attraction, independently. And I watched the DVD and I was like, am I allowed to swear on this podcast, by the way?
Yeah,
I was like,
crack on.
No.
well, we're not at the BBC, so you know. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So I listened to The Secret and I was like, this is a load of bollocks. Like, this is the worst thing I've ever. It made me really angry, because it was basically saying, if your life is shit, it's your fault, and you can change it instantly just by making your thoughts positive. But when you're suffering with depression and anxiety, someone telling you just think positive is kind of impossible. And it's
Don't
like,
want to hear that.
yeah, it's like someone saying, oh, here's a ladder, you're at the bottom. Now don't use any of the rungs of the ladder, but get yourself to the top instantly. So I found that quite frustrating, but there was some element, there was something in it that rung true to me. So then I started reading more and more books about the law of attraction. Then it started to spread out. So people like Eckhart Tolle, like Dr. Wayne Dyer, like Shakti Gawain, like all of these people that are, I guess, quite spiritual authors. And when things started to actually positively affect my life, so when I was doing the things that these people were suggesting that I did, and it was having a positive impact on my life, then I was like, whoa, I'm just going to keep going. This makes sense. I remember someone giving me a Dr. Wayne Dyer audio book, and I had it in my car. So when CDs, they had CD players in cars. And I put it on and I was listening to it and I was like, what is this? This is crap. This is really woo-woo, airy-fairy, like whatever. This is just rubbish. And I put it like down the side of my like car door and forgot about it. And then I found it about 5 years later and I put it on and I listened to it and I was like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing I've ever heard. Like, why didn't I get it when I listened to it 5 years ago? And I guess the more that we learn and the more conscious and aware we become, the more our perspective shifts and changes. So we're looking at things from a different way. So spirituality, it just kind of came to me out of desperation. I wanted my life to be different. I was unhappy, and I felt like I was the victim in my life and everything was against me and I needed to find a solution, and it was there and it worked. And so I just became really invested in it. It felt good. The veganism, what I forgot to mention in my intro, anyone can interrupt me at any time. I feel like I'm doing a lecture.
No, go on. Back on.
What I forgot to say in
like
my
your
intro.
voice. I already told you, your voice is nice.
Well, that's
Way
good.
better than Wayne's, and it's the British accent we wanted to hear since day one.
Okay.
We've never had.
Getting buried. I'm getting buried on my own podcast.
Lessons. Elocution lessons for you? Maybe? No?
No, fuck that.
The veganism, Lays. No, let's not do that to him. What I forgot to say in the intro is that after my sister was diagnosed with breast cancer, they tested her for the gene mutation, the cancer-causing gene mutations, or the breast cancer-causing gene mutations. And once they discovered that she was carrying the BRCA1 gene mutation, they were able to test me and see if I had it, and I did have it. So after she died, a couple of years after she died, actually, I decided to have a preventive double mastectomy. So I had both my breasts removed and reconstructed. And it was during that time when it's so weird, because my sister was a vegetarian and she'd be like, you need to stop eating meat. And I'd just be like, fuck it, I'm never going to stop eating meat. It's my right. I can do what I want. And being vegan, I don't think I even knew what it was. I thought a vegan was like a middle-aged white guy with dreadlocks, hemp trousers, who like grew mushrooms at home on kitchen towel and ate them.
That's
So-
my guitar teacher.
So you
So I was like,
There it was. There it was. All right. Crack
go
on.
your way.
Wait, are you
Shooting down
vegan, Bob?
everybody.
are you vegan?
Only way I can't afford meat.
No, see, so it doesn't work. It doesn't work. But yeah, so I had no clue about veganism, but I don't know.
I just have to say I ate a lot of mushrooms though, and not everybody. Anyway.
We can tell.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know if that's how you get into like the vegan club.
Okay.
Eat mad mushrooms.
Yeah, maybe that gets you in there. There's certainly some vegans who do, and there's so many different types of mushrooms. So I guess it depends, but
Not portobello.
not those ones. I'm not talking about them. I at the time I was like hanging out with the guy. There's a guy who's got a really big Instagram account actually called Shaka Bars, and he at the time ran a boot camp, and I used to go and exercise at the boot camp, and it was called Spartan Fam. And after we'd finished, he was vegan. After we'd finished training, we'd go to a place in Shoreditch called Box Park, and there was a guy there called King. His name's King, and he had a thing called Cook Daily, and his food was all vegan. So I was like surrounded by a really diverse group of people, and who were all vegan. Then we'd go to this vegan place, and King, who owned it, again, like not what I expected a vegan to be. And I was eating this food, and I'm like, this food is amazing. This is not what I thought vegan food was. And it just kind of gradually, I stopped eating meat because I just didn't want to eat it. I didn't really say anything to anyone. And then there was a guy who I did an interview with, and he was vegan. And I watched one of his videos, and his video was just him in his house. And he was like, I really love being in my house, especially when it's clean. I've just cleaned my bedroom. It makes me really happy. I wish someone else could do it for me. But I'd have to pay them, and I don't want to pay them. So actually, I'd like them to clean my whole house. But yeah, it would cost a lot of money. I don't want to pay them. And he was like, and that's what we do to animals every day. So basically, it just really hit me. Like the way that he said it was way better than the way I just said it. But it really.
No, I get what you're saying though, in the sense of we want everything and we want to do nothing for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it I don't know, it just really hit me, and I was like, right, I'm going to go vegan for a week and vlog about it or blog about it, and that was it. And it was just like someone flicked off a switch. So I went from, I guess, like being a meat eater essentially to being vegan, and everyone's like, oh, it must have been really hard. What did you struggle with? And I was just like, nothing. And if someone had told me a year before that I was going to be vegan, I would have been like, no fucking way, mate. But there you go.
And I think that flick of the switch is like, because I was a smoker for
I was just about to say the same thing.
I was a smoker for a decent amount of time, and then I just didn't want to smoke anymore. So then, like, even smelling a cigarette after 2 days, I was like,
Yeah.
what the hell? Who's burning ass garbage? Ass garbage on fire near me. And I can't figure out who.
Sorry, that's me.
That's, yeah.
The thing was, like, while I was smoking, like, I didn't sense it. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a thing to me. But then as soon as I decided in my head, like, I just, like, one morning, I just didn't want to smoke anymore.
Yeah, I was going to make the same point because I remember I smoked for 9 years. I gave up in 2003, and the way I did it is I was looking at my friends who didn't smoke, and I was like, well, they're not having a cigarette, and they're all right. So why do I need this little thing here keeping me trapped in this sort of like spiral of paying money to kill myself? I'll just stick to the beer and wine.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's way better.
Yeah, on the point of that, Claire, have you ever met Wayne in person?
Yeah, once, years and years and years.
Years ago.
So, is he really 5'5"?
Yes.
Oh.
Confirmed.
Oh God.
The logo stays.
No, I'm 6'3". Clara can confirm that.
It's really short. Stand it up
That's
now.
a liar. Are you
If you
I
look
like
at
her.
stand it up.
Huh?
Right.
He's standing up now, look, in the kitchen. That's where his head.
And I'm on a
couple of
box.
phone books underneath there?
Yes, yes. This went exactly as good as I wanted.
So that was the end of the BIM podcast today. So thank you.
So
Jesus.
did you find that well, it doesn't sound like, but I've heard a lot of people's motivation for going vegan is more ethical and moral, as opposed to just you're just like, I'll try it and I like it, and this is what I'm going to stick with. So did that play any part in
What, the ethical and moral? It's so weird because it's like the decision was made for me, and I didn't watch any of the documentaries or anything until afterwards. But yeah, it did. Like something. I grew up on a farm, and I had like pet horses. I had a pet cow. I had a pet sheep. I had chickens. Like all kinds of animals.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Wait.
Oh yeah, because you like chickens.
Jonathan's fallen off his chair.
This is my friend now.
Oh.
Although she doesn't love him.
I would invite mine in here, but they just decided to tear everything down in the studio. What was your horse's name?
My horse's name. Well, I had different ones, but we had Smokey, Gully, Mr. Small, Dusty, and Natty.
She could literally be anything.
Yeah.
Literally anything.
Yeah.
What'd you say, cow? What was the cow's name?
Hegarty.
Hegarty.
Yeah.
Is that a British
Hegarty. You see, it's a British name, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
And Hegarty.
And then the sheep was called Scraggles. She was my baby. She grew up in the kitchen. She didn't know she was a sheep.
That's amazing.
Like a little lamb, and then she was just like, "Yo, I'm staying in the house." What are you talking about?
Yeah, it was kind of our fault. So my granddad had my cat's just walking all over the desk. He had pigs when I was growing up, and then as we got older and he got older, because it was his farm, my granddad's, he decided he'd have sheep because they just needed to graze, and then he just spread the sheep, had the lambs, sold the lambs, and then he got to a phase where even that was too much for him. So I don't know what he was doing with the sheep, if it was just for wool or something, but they weren't supposed to be pregnant sheep. It was the middle of winter. He was away on holiday visiting like my auntie and uncle in Australia, and all of these sheep in the middle of winter just started having babies in the field. So we were like, we need to try and get them inside and work out which ones are pregnant. And my friend, my little brother and my friend and I went to like look and see what baby lambs had been born overnight, and one had got like stuck behind a bit of wood in the barn. So the mum sheep didn't know that it was hers, so we had no choice. And we put her in a cardboard box in the kitchen, and she liked
where in Essex was your farm?
Just outside of Braintree.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Braintree.
Yeah. It's North Essex. So it borders Suffolk and Cambridge. Yeah, so they're a bit posher up there, not like us South Central Essex boys.
You guys are like talking about like
Yeah. Literally could be. No
have
clue.
any references. You're like north of the rings.
Yeah. It's in a place called Beasley End.
I know it very well.
It wasn't even on a bus route. It had no shop, nothing.
Wow.
When I was fine when I was a little kid, but when I got a bit older, it sucked.
Yeah,
That's where Frodo is from, Brenna. I know. Bagler's End.
to be fair, you're not far from the truth, because all them little villages up in North Essex are like really. It's one I'm thinking of, Thaxted. Thaxted is all like old Tudor houses that are all leaning over and
Nice.
all completely walked, but still standing. You can go in and have a beer, but you feel like you're drunk when you're standing in them.
Yeah.
Pippin and Mary, that's where they're at.
Yeah.
I saw the movie. It was a documentary I saw.
Is that why you think I'm short? Because I'm from England, so I must be a hobbit.
Yeah, because how would you fit into those little houses otherwise? Luckily, because you're 5'5", you never have to worry about paying.
Tall hobbit, I'll give him that.
Yeah.
Sarah, you're killing me. I bang my head daily doing my job. God, someone's going to clip that. Someone's going to clip that.
I think you should start wearing a helmet.
This is getting worse.
I do. That's why I've got my head covered now. So many bruises.
A safety one.
Yeah.
Can't be trusted.
It's all about PPE these days.
Exactly. Yeah. Get yourself some of that.
Topical.
Your
Well, since we now established that when he's short, like if he falls over, he can't really hurt himself, can he?
No.
So close to the ground. I mean,
Yeah.
how much speed can you really pick up?
Anyway,
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
let me.
Definitely, there is definitely, yeah. So it became it once I made that connection between the actions that I was doing meant, then I was like, oh. And I mean, I guess I always knew, but to actually admit and make that connection to myself,
But like you're in
yeah, then
Scotland or
it really
something.
hit.
Come on.
So it was. I would say that I'm vegan for ethical reasons first, then environmental reasons, and then health.
And to do a crunching gear change to Clara now, there's someone on this podcast that you're familiar with that's not me. So could you tell everyone how you met
What the fuck? I was just about to say something about the vegan thing. Can we just get back to that? Because
no, we're going there. We're going there.
all right, but I'm gonna post in the description. I'm gonna post article from Science magazine about how 80%, 83% of the agricultural land in the world is used for livestock, and how we could significantly decrease our environmental impact by having a more vegan diet, which is a very good article, by the way. So I'm just going to post that in the comment, and yeah, crack on.
Okay, so can we get back to how Clara first encountered Jartin?
So I do on my Instagram Live, I do speed dating, and the other night I was struggling for speed daters, and so you told him to come and have a speed date with me, which he did, and he was like the best person of the whole entire night. He sang me a song, a very charming conversation. Speed date. Yeah, he did. He got his guitar out and everything.
Yeah, got my guitar. I got the candles lit. Open a bottle of wine.
Legend.
Sounds like a Boyz II Men song.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good. Oh, look, here we go.
I didn't expect to have to do this.
Oh God, everyone's got props.
Well, I've got a cat. She's gone now. But yeah,
I've got barbecue tongs, so that's all I've got in front of me.
Yeah, maybe not those.
Well, thank you, by the way. It was very nice of you to say I was the best thing of the night.
Yeah, you were. People enjoyed the song as well.
Oh,
Got a
nice.
nice voice, as I told you.
Oh.
So how you getting on with the old speed dating thing and the whole Clara and stuff?
The old speed dating. I started this year, and I was just like, I'm going to do. I had loads of stuff. I had started this thing called the Fuck It list. Obviously, I didn't get very far with it because I can't really do any of the things that are on it anymore.
Okay.
So I'm shutting my house. But one of those things was, to invest more in trying to find like a significant other. So I thought, what can I do while I'm at home? There must be loads of other people that are in a similar situation. And obviously something that my friends can get involved in that they might find entertaining. And that's what I came up with.
You want to plug your Instagram right now?
Yeah, it's Miss Claira Hermet. That's it. Simple.
Excellent. So next time there might be any potential speed daters that listen to the show, they're going to pop up and be like, hello.
I saw you on the Bin podcast. Or heard you.
Yeah.
Now I'm here.
And that's what we're doing. Like we platform people, and we're so glad that we're able to provide this platform for you.
Question: do you like Bob in the show Vikings?
I don't look like him. What the fuck?
This is getting worse.
Do a share screen, Mikey.
I really don't.
Pull the screen up. Let's get an honest opinion.
You look like him, but like not on the set. Like you're what he looks like on the day-to-day.
But I'm still sticking with Alistair Black.
For Clara anyway. All y'all shut up. Damn.
All right.
Clara, did you like him in that show?
I haven't watched it, so.
Fair enough answer. That's a fair answer from
See?
who the question was directed towards.
Fair enough. So, Clara, with regards to what's going on there, how are you finding with broadcasting in general? Is there a difference to the mood, the timbre? Is it sort of like when you're getting people contacting you? Is it a different kind of mindset, or is it?
I am really lucky because my show is kind of like an entertainment show. It's a show to give a platform to London's diverse and emerging talent. That's like our tagline. And so the only difference is, I mean, we used to have like live performances in the studio, and we'd have like 4 guests a show, and it's only a 2-hour show. So now we're just having people on the phone. So it's been a bit of an adjustment like that, and I suppose like, in a sense, it changes the energy, but it just means that my producer is really great, and we get on really well. So we now say that one night a week, because I do the show once a week, I drive into London, so it's like my going to a club, my going for dinner, it's my everything rolled into one, because it's the only time that I'm kind of seeing anyone. So for me, I'm just really excited by the time I get there. And because the station the rest of the time is mostly is news and is quite heavy, it's nice to just be able to have that break. And we play quite a lot of music, we play new music, and so I'm generally like dancing around while the music's on and just having a good time, and just kind of making sure, we're not insensitive, we're not stupid, but it's that kind of thing that, look, we know all of the negative stuff, it's constantly there, it's there in our faces the whole entire time. So for this 2 hours, we're taking a break away from that, and we want to focus on positive stuff. And generally, like the audience and the people that interact with the show are really great, and they just kind of get on board. They know to expect a little bit of madness, and it happens every Tuesday somehow.
So do they see it as sort of like a nice little release from obviously all the what's going on right now? It's a nice little bit of escapism to go and listen to some good music, bit of banter, have a laugh, and kind of switch off for a bit.
Yeah, I think so. We do have, so every week I have a doctor. Dr. Emeka comes on the show, and he's actually working in COVID-19 wards in East London. So we've been talking to him about PPE, but the thing is with him is he's like, I think he's in his late 20s. He posts loads of TikTok videos. I don't actually know how he manages to do any work as a doctor, because he's on TikTok so much. Mm-hmm. But he also, if it's people talking about PPE, so he's 6'6", and we got the PPE and it comes up to like his knees, which is really funny. So it's like he posts things like that, and he brings a bit of, rather than just talking about the stats and kind of, death and etc., he's talking about how him and the rest of his colleagues are staying motivated, the kind of things that they're doing. And it's just to show another side to things, because we're not all just one, like one-dimensional beings. There is like this other side, and it's important, I think, that it's represented on radio as well.
Oh, definitely. And how is the workplace changed? I know people at Global, and Global is sort of work from home if you can, but the producers are going in. Certain presenters are working from home and stuff like that. Is it the same at the BBC, or?
Yeah, it's like skeleton staff. I'm at Broadcasting House, which is like an 8-story building, which they have like BBC News downstairs with the studios, the TV studios. It's all glass, so you can see everything, and it kind of just like stacks up everything. Essentially, pretty much all of the BBC, central BBC is there. It's empty. The lifts are 1 in, 1 out. So the lifts are really bad normally, because there's hardly anyone there. It's okay, but it's literally like 1 in, 1 out for the lifts.
The elevators.
Yes.
Elevators, yeah. That's what you want to call them. But yeah, so there's that. There's just no one there. It's really weird. It's like eerie. And being in central London, I took some pictures of Oxford Circus, which is like normally just full, like thick with people. You can't even move through it. And there's massive queues to get into the tube station to get on the train. There is literally nobody there. It's like empty, no one.
I drove through central London the other day. My last job was in Acton, and I thought, I'm just going to experiment. And I thought I'll drive straight down the embankment, straight down Chelsea Embankment, through to Houses of Parliament, up Lower Thames Street and all that. And it was the fastest I've ever been through there. And there was literally no one there, and it was so bizarre, because that journey would normally take the best part of 2 hours to go from like Dolphin Square to Tower Bridge. That's like an hour and a half, 2 hours at best. And the only reason,
but that's just because you got really short feet, mate.
Sorry.
Why do you have Dolphin Square? You don't have fucking dolphins.
No, it's just the name of a building.
You guys just make shit up.
Like
We
you
rented
don't.
everything.
Like you don't.
Make shit up.
Like you don't. In
America
fucking
just copies
America,
everything.
don't
Wait,
make
we
shit up.
we don't make things up. We steal other people's ideas.
Oh, that's it.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
New York.
we've got York. You've got New York.
Exactly.
Yeah, New Orleans.
1.0,
New
we got the
Orleans.
1.1.
Live.
And as soon as you start naming shit, it just goes really bad. Like, all right, so we have to name this really nice house. What we call it? Well, it's white. All right, it's the White House. Really? That's the best you had.
We can't
Not-
figure that out ourselves.
Not like the president's palace or the supreme leader's boudoir or ever. No.
Ask your king. We don't do kings over here. We don't palaces.
No, you just do weird dictators, didn't you?
That's where you live.
Yeah, you
That's
do.
in the White House.
It's a house.
You just do dictators that don't answer questions at fucking press conferences, don't you?
And then make lazy racial slurs at Chinese.
Yeah.
Speaking of social distancing and people actually listening to quarantine advice from medical professionals, sounds like it's going okay over there. You know, I have more traffic now getting back and forth to work. I drive about 15 miles to work every day. I'm
Really?
constantly late. I was never late before all this happened because I could leave about 10 minutes and I get there. Because I mean, there's only like 2 roads and you can go about.
Mikey, your video, your audio is not coming through again.
Oh, son of a bitch.
I can hear you.
No one listens to me anyway.
It's true.
Yeah, very true.
I'm not upset.
It just sounds like you're mumbling. I think you need to make something done with that.
Okay. That should be better now.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Welcome to
Americans
the
are
main
not listening to
podcast,
this.
Clara. This is all this is such a fucking cluster.
Technical difficulties is just
Yes,
part of the experience.
This is why I don't use
Bed
OBS
shitting.
anymore.
Like when everybody else is like trying to like sort out some wrinkles, we're actually trying to sort out a fucking tsunami here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
Tsunami wrinkles, same
in a
thing.
professional broadcast, what would normally happen is someone would take a timestamp and then use that to edit out. But we just go live and just go, fuck it, let's just see what happens.
The people like the gritty. We're raw.
We're real.
We're a real show with real people.
We're the real world.
Clara is kind of going like, what the fuck did I just get myself into? What am I doing?
The thing is, you say that, but I do live radio, and obviously we're not allowed to swear. But at the end of the day, what happens, and stuff goes wrong all the time. Like things don't work, or you try and press a button and it doesn't work, or so there is stuff that happens all the time. And I just tell people what's happening because otherwise, I don't.
Yeah, with us people see what's happening.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
here, I'll challenge the rest of us. For the rest of the show, we can't curse.
Bollocks. Ain't at me.
That's bullshit, Mikey.
Yeah,
it's bullshit.
like
The last 10 seconds.
that is going to be the shortest fucking live feed of the big podcast. Fucking forever, man.
She's cursed twice.
Yeah, and one of the times where she said bollocks.
Yeah.
That's not
real.
that's not even a real curse word though.
No, but when the thing is, I trained myself. I lived in fear for ages that I would say something wrong. So I've kind of trained myself out of it. So when I'm in front of a microphone or I'm in a radio studio, there's something just clicks in my brain, and it hasn't happened yet. Touch wood. It's not that I won't actually swear, but you never know. There's still time.
Your producer
I
sitting
have
with the dump
several
button.
different like Rolodexes of words that I use in separate places. So I've never cursed at work.
So
But
but we do
I find it hard not to curse here.
When I work with like young students, I can turn all that off. Like it's automatic. I just turned it off. But then when I have adults, it's
Which is why I issued the challenge. Can we turn it off with us?
yeah, but you're all children to me, so
Yeah.
Oh,
No. But Brenna, like we're not upset you're saying that. You are like our bear mom, like taking care of us, like bringing us in.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but there's this TV show in Sweden right now called Swedish Truckers, and it's a very late in the evening kind of show, and I was like, if I was on that show, like my segments would just go like beep 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 beep, would fucking love it. Sound like fucking Morse code because I was sitting with my finger ahead like like fucking Mr. Bean.
Aren't you a Swedish trucker? Did you not make the cut?
I don't want to be on TV.
They didn't call you
at all. No, I
didn't
got
get
asked.
in contact with you.
I got asked, and I said, "Fuck no."
Man, you could have been talking about the bin the whole time on that show. That's bullshit. Call him back.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, putting us over.
Right.
I've been wearing a
Turn down
t-shirt.
opportunities.
I have to get home to the bin podcast, and that's all my life now. Bin podcast.
If everything else you were saying was swearing, the only bit that wouldn't be beeped out would be bin
The bin
podcast.
Exactly. See, Zoltan? See?
Yeah.
This is why she's a professional.
Yeah.
She's looking at opportunities
Scene.
to promote the show.
Yeah.
No, but like if I went on that show, I would actually have to do some actual work during my day, and
You mean you don't drink and smoke for your job?
in Sweden, I think that's acceptable when you drive a truck.
I think you have.
He's told me about his trucks, and he's told me about what he does. You know, he averages like 48 miles an hour.
Yep.
He's just creeping along the road, hanging out, bored as shit.
Yeah, he's
In
probably
the
out
left
on the bonnet with like a
lane,
barbecue
going
going.
slow as fuck.
How do you not fall asleep? Because even when I drive now, if I go for a long journey, sometimes I do find myself just trying to have a little nap. It's not a good combination.
It's not real.
No, that's it.
No.
I think it's kind of a thing that you train yourself into. But I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot of radio shows. I call, like when I used to drive nights, I used to call Mikey and Cortez like all the time. It's like, what are you doing? Like, I'm super fucking bored. Can we do something? And I was just sitting there talking to him in the truck. And then when you get really tired, you start developing strategies, right? You start making like sequences. All right, check the mirrors, do stuff, open them, and then you start doing it at a sequence. As soon as the sequence start making you tired, then you start doing it backwards because then you have to think about it, and then you like reboot your brain all over again. So you kind of develop strategies for keeping yourself up. But I've gotten scared like more than a few times when you've had like micro naps, and you're like,
right.
yeah, how, and you just, and I'm like 60 fucking metric tons when I'm rolling around. That's like 30 fucking cars lined up at top of each other, and if I hit somebody, you're not going to be hurt, you're going to be dead. And then that's kind of a sobering thought as well. Like, this is going to end up really bad for somebody if this goes bad. So, but I have been going out like in the middle of winter with all the windows all up, all the clothes I own in the fucking world, just going to just to keep myself awake for another like half an hour.
Just scary. My dad used to drive long distance lorries, and he decided one Christmas, I think it was before any of us were born, that he wanted to go home to be with my mum. So he didn't sleep when he was supposed to sleep, and he drove his lorry off a bit of a cliff. And luckily he was fine, but the lorry was completely written off. So
How can you have a bit of a cliff? That's not saying you're a little bit pregnant.
There's cliff and not cliff.
I don't know how my dad's still alive. He's like a cat. He's done it so many times, different cars, and he's
like Domino from the Deadpool movie.
Yeah, I reckon he is. Well, I don't know. My dad's insane. You need to get him on the podcast, really, especially if you like swearing.
Challenge
Loved it.
accepted.
Can
We'd
you
love
please
to have-
arrange that?
We're doing it. We're going multi-generation.
Yeah, if you could get your dad on the podcast, so I could actually have a lorry driver with me on this. That would be
Oh, fuck.
so fucking great.
I don't know if
You
he
fucking rig
might get
drivers.
himself into trouble. Some of his opinions, he's a bit out
Yeah,
there.
that would also be a first for the Bin podcast. That somebody
Yeah.
got into trouble for their opinions. That is
Not really.
Hasn't happened yet.
No, no one here has got any controversial views at all.
Nope.
So
No.
we're at about the hour 15 mark. So, let's take a small pause. And Brenna,
Yes, sir.
producer extraordinaire,
What would you like from me?
can you let everybody know about ways to support the show?
Well, there's a few ways, those freeloader ways that you could support the show by liking and sharing the Bin podcast. We are on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. Those
And
are
Mixer.
and Mixer.
and
Yay.
Instagram.
We are, yeah. We're on everything
Patreon.
right now.
Yeah, we're getting there, Wayne. Goddamn.
Wayne, producer.
Yeah. Sorry. Let me roll.
If you decide not to be a freeloader, which I'm hoping that we have a few more people continually coming in and not being a freeloader, you can go to patreon.com/thebinpodcast and you can support us by becoming one of our patrons. So we have $1 a month can basically get you access to all the extra stuff that we have, as well as any of the early access to some of the episodes that we have done off live. You can do $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, or if you're crazy and want to learn on a personal level about us, that's $100 a month.
Do it.
So
One
we
person do it
have
for 1
What's
month.
the name of that tier again?
that is Chicken Show. So if you want to understand a little bit deeper about Chicken Show,
So deep.
that's $100 a month. You get a lot of personal stuff there.
Chicken fingers.
Calm down, guys. So help us at least reach our first goal of $500 a month, so that we can upgrade our equipment a little bit better, so that we don't look like a bunch of amateurs, and only a few of us look like amateurs. I'm a
Just saying.
professional.
That's a dig.
Yeah, that is.
I'm on my,
I'd apologize, Wade, but frankly, I
I'm
don't
on my
care.
Jeff Bezos microphone with my Jeff Bezos ring light and my
He's gonna be a
Samsung whatever
trillionaire.
phone.
He's gonna be a trillionaire soon. You need to get him to sponsor the podcast.
Ugh.
Yeah, well,
Hey, Jeff, if you're watching,
Jeff, and we know you're
by all
watching.
means, bro.
Jeff Bezos, if you're watching, I question your
Oh, no,
Your
fuck it.
taste.
Get Elon Musk. He just sold all his gear. Elon Musk is
His drugs. He sold all his drugs.
Okay. We're getting off topic about
Sorry.
patreon.com/thebin podcast.
Is gear not drugs to English people?
So,
To a
Yeah.
degree.
would you like to hear our new patrons?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
New patrons.
So
New
we have
patrons. You a new patron, and
we need to have intro music behind this, but
No. Mike is going to do beatboxing and then I'm going to rap.
please.
gonna play a
No.
Please
No. Please don't.
I
No.
would subscribe on Patreon for that.
Yeah, we'll do something Patreon. Okay.
Here's something I can guarantee for the $5 tier. When you get, is that $5 tier where you get the monthly hangout with us,
Yeah.
10.
10.
or is
Sorry,
it 10?
10.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll move it down to 5. I don't know.
Oh,
We'll talk.
No.
All right, 10 it is. They've outvoted me. I will make a beat during the hangout, and then Jartan.
Yeah,
fucking-
I'll rap during the hangout. And you do know that there is also a competition that can get you into the hangout this month.
Yes.
So what you need to do to get into the Hangout and still be a fucking freeloader and not paying the money for it is that you have to record a voice memo on your phone or on your computer and send it to thebinpodcast@gmail.com, where you try to pronounce my name.
Awesome.
It's not
okay.
possible.
So, our two new patrons from patreon.com/thebinpodcast. See, I'm saying it correctly. I'm doing it. It's become natural.
Brenna.
We have our one of them is Stuart.
Stewart.
Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart.
What I can do?
And our second one is Puffalopagus. So thank you, Puff.
The old Puff.
Thank you,
named
Puff.
the
Did we
child
announce the
Puffalopagus?
previous peoples?
Puff, pass.
What
Did
did
we say
you?
everybody before?
We have. We do it every time we add in every week.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So we're at 6.
Thank you,
We
guys.
are at 6. And by the end of this, that should double, right? Because everybody's going to go on to patreon.com/thebinpodcast, and they're all going to become Patreons because they are definitely not
They're
freeloaders.
the Patreons on the site called Patreon. If you call them Patreons, that's weird.
Yeah,
They're
and,
patrons.
For our existing patrons, I'm so sorry
damn it.
that all our
Sorry,
bonus
Mikey,
content
we're winners.
isn't up yet because I fucked up when I signed us up for the RSS feed, and I'm gonna change it at the end of the month, but I paid it till the end of this month, so we're just gonna finish that Buzzsprout for this month. Then we're moving it over to Acast, and then you're gonna have like hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of fantastic fucking content that only you, for only $1 a month, can get access to.
Clara, I would challenge you to give us $1 a month. You got to hear me and his brother talking for 2 hours. That is gold.
Who's
Yeah,
brother?
Yeah, my brother. He actually like. What was fucking amazing about that was that he started like making intro songs for us on a guitar while we were talking. Like he was just like actually like producing like intro.
Not a guitar, a lap steel guitar from like 1920.
Yeah. From
Coolest thing ever.
Yeah,
Coolest
from
thing
the 1920s, and he was just like sitting there composing stuff. It was fucking amazing. We had such a good time, and he was like,
"It's awesome."
Yeah, he's the best. He's a musician by trade.
Skull.
Yeah.
Wait, how do you guys all know each other?
Porn sites.
Great question. A great question. Who's going to take that?
Who's ready to tell the story?
Yeah, all right. So it's almost like Clara's been doing interviews before.
Yeah.
Ooh, maybe that should be our new segment. We invite somebody on to interrogate us. Figure out what makes the
I feel
bean
like it's an
tick.
interrogation. I only asked how you know each other. None of you have answered the question. You've all avoided it.
No, I'll take it.
Oh,
I'll take it. Right. So we all started listening to a podcast called I Doubt It with Dollemore, which is Jesse Dollemore
Ooh.
and his wife, Brittany Page. And we all sort of joined the community around that particular podcast. And we was all sort of chatting with each other on Facebook. And we kind of all chimed with each other. And we was like, well, why don't we have a go at this? Kind of like a red button to their show initially, but now it's kind of branched off into our own thing. And
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
Do any of us even watch that podcast anymore?
Yeah, I still listen.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
Bob,
Claire, this is
Bob,
content.
Bob, you tell the story. Bob, you tell the story because I think Wayne's wrong.
Well, no, but like that's how through that with Dollemore podcast, that's how we met. But then we started like having video calls and started yelling at each other on video calls like once a week, just because. Well, we were we were still upset about shit that was going on in the world, and then we started like yelling at racists and people that we just felt were wrong, and we just spent a lot of fucking time yelling at each other and people that we felt were in the bad. And then we were on one drunken night, and we're like, why do we do this just for us? Maybe somebody else would like to listen to this. And then was like, yeah, let's fucking do a podcast.
Someone pushed record.
Somebody pushed record at some point, and then it became a podcast.
Look at these media shills. Look at them. Yeah, we just all came together in this community. We just want to do good and put out our message.
No. I don't want to do good. I'm here to fucking hurt some people. Like, I want every Nazi in the world to be fucking hurt, and that's why I'm here.
So, truth time.
Jesus.
Because we all love that podcast, we were all Patreon supporters, which got us into a monthly hangout. Me being the long-winded person that I am, I already had Zoom, and I would do an after party.
Yeah. That was the fun part. The after party was always the fun.
After parties, and after parties.
Hence, I said the red button.
Every Thursday after party.
Yeah.
Now that after party is called the Bin Podcast, and it has grown and matured to the point where we get excellent people like Claira on our show.
There you go.
Yes, and again, thank you for coming on, Claire.
Yeah, well, everybody else is going. I'm still the fucking retard I always used to be, but what the fuck? Somebody has to be.
We're doing that for care in the community.
All right. So, Claira,
those rocks in the bottom.
So, Claira, how comfortable are you talking politics?
No, well, I have to be cautious of what I say because of my job. So I have to be very objective.
Let's get a safe word.
So,
Scraggles.
Scraggles. So I guess it depends. It depends what the questions are. And
well,
I think,
if we talk American politics, I think we might be all right. No.
Mm-hmm.
It's still all politics. I've just got to be careful about.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's don't do that tonight. Let's not go there because I'm probably going to get her fired. Like, I'm probably going to get her fired from something. So let's just don't go there.
If she gets fired, then we can replace Wayne with her.
There you go.
All right. So let's do politics. No. I'm going to try to be nice.
It's your day, Wayne. Welcome to it. Usually it's him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan, you're getting buried next week.
I know I am, and I don't mind.
Oh, sorry, I've got to call you Bob. And I'm competition.
I'm the only one here who's been on the date with Claira, so come on, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know that this was a thing.
You got a girlfriend,
but had I known, I would have pulled out the acoustic.
Mikey is bequeathed to his good lady.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's the bomb.com.
She's the bomb.com. All right. Moving on. All right. So you're a life coach. You're a vegan. You're a broadcaster. You're a... Can I say cancer survivor? Is that okay? Is that what?
I didn't have cancer, so I just have the gene mutation. So I didn't actually have cancer. So I had the operation.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Measure. Yeah.
You've had quite a bit going on, haven't you? But if you were sitting in one of your coach situations now, you're a life coach, and you met this bunch of wankers for the first time.
Yeah.
Come on, give me some perspective.
No, I think the thing is with coaching actually is that it's the reason that I love it so much is I think like I had done talking therapies and all of that kind of stuff, and it was really great because it helped me untangle a lot of past, like let go of a lot of stuff, maybe like process some grief that I needed to process. But then once I'd done that, I was like, what now? Like I'm only, unless I change at another level, I'm only going to keep getting the same results I've got. You know, it's like that saying, if we keep doing the same thing and expect to get different results, then it's not going to work. So coaching, that's what coaching does. So it's about, so I'm an NLP practitioner. So it's about changing at a subconscious level and actually changing our behavioral patterns, our thought patterns. And then those things.
I'll stop you there quickly. NLP, neuro-linguistic programming.
Neuro-linguistic programming, yeah.
Yeah.
Those things that
I knew that.
I knew that. Those things that happen, that we change inside, then start to change our outside. So I guess it's kind of like, for me, the people that I work with, the people that have got to a place in their life where they could, it's really telling, because it's got nothing to do with like their financial success or anything like that. It's to do with when they've just had enough of feeling the way that they feel, when they're not, you know, I think it's something like 87% of people do a job that they don't love or that they don't really like, which is crazy. So there's a lot of people out there who might be on paper considered successful by societal standards. So they might have the materialistic things that apparently make us happy and give us success, but yet they're still finding themselves not happy. And so then that makes them go on a search for happiness. And you know, my cat's meowing in the background.
I saw her just like creeping across. It was so cute.
and agreeing.
Yeah, she's just going a bit crazy.
Mama.
But yeah, so it's people who, they've just had enough and they know that something else exists. And I think a lot of us do know that, you know, like we know that there's intrinsically, we know that there's a different way to exist should we want to do it. And it's not necessarily easy because we've all grown up with programming from, you know, our own lives, from our society, from our culture. And that has a huge effect on who we are and how we view the world. And so if we want to change, I guess, our experience, our life experience, then it all starts with us. And that's essentially what coaching is. It's like, how can you be in control of your experience? And that's what I help people do. And it's just a really, like, watching somebody go through that process is really lovely. And just it's really inspiring to see people just take it really seriously and put the work in and just get great results. So yeah, if I had all of you lot, it would only ever work. Coaching is like we say it's a do with process, not a do to process. So the only way coaching works is if you are ready to do it, because you have to give everything to it. It's the same with like, oh yeah, I want to, you know, if you wanted to, I don't know, go to the gym or grow your muscles or lose weight or do anything, it's a nice idea, but you've got to put in the work that it takes to get to that desired goal. And so, yeah, it's about gritting your teeth and doing the work. So, yeah, if anyone...
That's a beautiful way of putting it.
Yeah, I was going to make like a smug comment, but don't feel like I should.
Right, I was totally ready. I had a couple shots loaded. And I was like,
no, I'm going to stop myself right there. All right, but as a life coach,
personal development coach.
Well, whatever quality you like, it's fine. I'm not going to don't take myself that serious.
Yeah, I'll say that in Swedish from now on, and then you'll just translate.
I have no clue what you're saying.
no different than Wayne.
How do people come in contact with you if they want you to be their personal development coach?
So social media, I do a lot of stuff for free as well, just because I feel like that's the whole reason why I got into this career, is that I want to be able to help people. So I've just started doing some like live workshops for free on my Facebook group. And so it can be like that. It could be people from Instagram that have seen posts or videos that I've done. I have a website, LinkedIn. So there's lots of different like ways in, but mostly all online. So everything is conducted online. So I don't actually meet with people in person. So It could be people from anywhere in the world.
I will
post all of your stuff
in the chat. Put it in the chat. Put all your links to your website, to your Facebook, in the chat, and I'll make sure that we post it not only in the comments. And we're
totally going to take care of that.
We're going to post it in our also in the episode description as soon as it comes out on RSS.
Claira, there is a small caveat to us doing that. if you find a husband via your appearance on the Bin podcast, we all have to come to the wedding.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're
Wait.
paying.
Caveat on the caveat.
Okay.
Is there an open bar?
Yeah, I don't really drink, but yeah, you lot can go for it.
You
I
made
do.
a mistake this day.
I do. And I'm going to be on this Saturday. I'm still waiting for that second date though.
Coming back for the second date. Good on you.
Yeah.
Do you think my girlfriend will let me do a date?
No.
No.
I don't know if that's a good idea, to be honest.
She's in the UK.
Categorically, no.
Why not?
Yeah, but
Why
like
can't
I want to talk.
Why can't? Hold on. The question is, why can't I do an internet?
You're not the boss of me.
Why can't I do an internet speed date with someone across the ocean? It's just to get to know each other. Just a fun hangout
We've
thing.
just done an hour podcast with the lady in question.
Yo, this is part of the fucking podcast. It's just a question. Why don't you answer it as opposed to dissecting it?
So what time?
So the answer, I think, is no.
So what time? What time do you do your speed dating on
I'm
Saturdays?
doing it at 9 p.m, but I might do it a little bit later.
I'm showing up. Fuck y'all.
Yeah, it was a good time, but I want to talk a bit about it because it was a lot of people giving you advice and not really interested in dating you though.
Yeah, well, the thing is, the first couple of weeks that I did it, it was really busy, and I don't know what's changed. I don't know if more people are just not on social media as they were at the start of like lockdown, or if more people are breaking the rules and they're leaving their house, or if there was something like big on the TV that was way more entertaining than me. So there seems to be a lot of people who just
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. I promise you.
a lot of people who just watch but don't actually get involved because they're too shy or they've got bad hair cuts. Apparently that's the thing, because lockdown, no one can go to the barbers. So because of that, I feel like there's a lot of people who just sit and watch but don't actually want to get involved. Maybe because
They're voyeuristic.
It's like Babe Station.
my cat
So, but
right behind the laptop screen.
yeah, but how like when people come on to give you like advice on who you should, and that is actually quite funny because that's the tale, isn't it? Right. So people come on your speed dating not to date you, but to give you advice on
Well, they
who
haven't-
and what you should date.
They haven't done until last week, and the only reason they did that was because it was so quiet. So I was like, well, I'm just gonna have to sit here on my own otherwise. So it's probably better if I just talk to people. So some people just wanted to come and give me some advice, so I let them.
Right. Because I was like really surprised. Like the first time we talked, I was on my way home, and I had to call back because I thought like, of course there's going to be a queue, so of course I'm gonna get home before. And I was like looking at my phone, like, get ready to go live, and I was like, no, not really. But it was a good time. It was a good word. So you should go to at Miss Claira Hermet at Instagram and check that out. She's online on Saturdays. You should subscribe, follow, and just make sure that you follow her. It's a good follow. I've been following you for a week and a half now. It's a good follow. You do amazing stuff on there. Appreciate that. Because of...
Sorry, Claire, do you want to plug your radio show?
Radio show is Tuesday evenings, 8 till 10 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, GMT. And yeah, it's BBC Sounds, bbc.co.uk/Radio London, or you can, it's 94.9 FM, I think. But also, I have a thing that I do called Rants in My Pants, which I put out every Monday on Instagram. Which is me
Rants in My Pants is my favorite. Like,
it doesn't make sense to American people because pants to you are trousers. Pants to us are underwear. So I do a rant in my underwear essentially, but I call it Rants in My Pants because pants in England is not trousers. It's underwear.
In English, pants are underwear.
Yeah.
In Americanese, it's trousers.
Yeah.
Clara, I need to ask you the biggest question of all.
Yeah.
Where the fuck did you get that Pat Butcher t-shirt from?
The Pat Butcher t-shirt is from a company called Wayne. Shit, they've got a baby grow with it on.
You're joking.
Yeah, it's a thing called bowl cut garms. You know, like a hair, like bowl cut.
Yeah.
Garms. So it's on there. It's an amazing t-shirt, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who knows who Pat Butcher is apart from us?
Just me and you.
Is that a Pat Butcher t-shirt? Because nothing you say in Brittany's makes any sense. Are hoodies t-shirts? Because pants are underwear? And what is what at this point?
Mikey, we invented you, remember? Listen to us.
And there's less of you than us, so shut up.
And but Wayne,
we've got more sickness than you.
No,
if your little brother is bigger than you, then you speak to him in a different way.
Up. Wayne, you have to stop being like the creator that destroyed worlds. Like, you have created death. And don't be proud of that.
You gave it to America and said, "Hold my beer."
So I'm going to do a zoom on my phone. You can see this is the Pat Butcher t-shirt. That's Pat.
There you go.
There she is.
That's Pat Butcher.
What'd she do?
She was in a show called EastEnders.
She was a character in a sitcom, or no, not a sitcom, like a soap opera.
Oh, okay.
The longest running British soap opera in the world, isn't it?
No, it's Coronation Street.
Oh, is that EastEnders has been going for over 50 years, though.
No, it's not. EastEnders started in 1985.
I'm going to be switching to my laptop when I get home in a few minutes.
All right, see you in a bit, Curtis.
Thanks for telling.
We did not need to know that.
All right, just switch.
Just fucking switch, dude. So, of course, we're going to post every bit of this in the show notes. And as soon as Clara posts in the chat, we're also going to put it in the comment section. So you can go in there, you can find her, follow. She's a good follow. As I said, been following her for a week and a half on Instagram. It's a good follow. Ranting My Pants is absolutely fucking huge. She does workouts. She does a lot of different stuff. You were on a show, was it yesterday? You were on the 9 p.m. show with, what's his face? Which was really good.
West Hampton.
Yeah, that was really good.
Live, yeah.
You had a good time. That was really good.
Guy, that one. Good lad.
Yeah.
So, Clara, how have you enjoyed your time on the Bin podcast?
It's been good. It's been good.
Shit!
That's why she gets paid to do this shit.
Oh, I gotta get my rap battle air horns out. Hold on a second.
Oh, don't.
You need some sound effects.
Yeah, his soundboard is like delayed.
No. We have a soundboard, and I've paid for an actual recording thing. But we need to get Wayne a fucking laptop that works.
I've got a laptop that works.
If you guys at the radio station have like an old one covered in dust, please give that to Wayne because it's 10 times better than whatever the hell he's got.
No,
it's
don't give it to
floppy
him.
Drive and everything.
Give it to somebody who walks into Wayne's house and beat him on with a fucking face with it. That's all we need you to do, and just film that shit. No,
to be fair, look, I'm working off my Jeff Bezos mic and ring light and my phone.
Can you stop being like platforming Jeff Bezos? He doesn't need their money.
Yeah, he doesn't pay us.
We need the money. He doesn't pay us.
Not yet, but if he becomes a patron, then he does.
Hey, Jeff, go to www.patreon.com/thebinpodcast. Get like 100 chicken shows.
Mm-hmm.
100 chicken shows.
Or just buy us out. We'll sell out. It'll be like, remember that episode, that scene in Wayne's World 2, where like, I hate it when people sell out for money. When the Reebok. Or he's got the pizza up box. Yeah, I'll do that. I don't care.
I found my soundboard.
You got your soundboard?
Out the window when it comes to money.
Come on then. It's only an hour later.
Nice.
Don't worry about it.
I didn't think we'd need it. I didn't know what kind of interview this is going to be. But when everyone drops a bomb,
we can't hear that. We can't hear that.
I know, because you're not the producer.
Nice. And that's why we need to use Zencaster, because everybody can hear it then. Damn it.
Well, I was looking forward to that. That was a massive anticlimax. I don't even know what it sounded like.
All right, hold on.
That's how his girlfriend feels all the time.
And there it is. There it is.
Wow.
Since we're not talking politics, do you have any advice for Americans who feel like, you know what, this is an attack on my constitutional rights, having to do the exact same practices that you're doing in the UK?
Do you know what? I think the thing is, the only thing that I can say, like from talking to people, is that we have a completely different situation here in the sense that that most people are being financially secured by the government. So I think, like we don't have that same level of anxiety or worry or fear necessarily, because for the majority of us, we're kind of safe. So we don't have that panic or that need or that, kind of like, how am I going to buy food? I know that in America it's like $1,200 and then off you go. So I think that would cause me, if I was in that situation, that would make me feel really worried. Whereas obviously here, if people are being furloughed, they're getting paid 80% of their wages by the government. Even if you're a self-employed person, you're still getting money. So, I know that doesn't encompass everybody, but most people are being looked after. So I guess it doesn't have that kind of that fear factor.
And I don't think we've been shut down long enough for these super successful, awesome independent workers and these moguls of small business. Hold on, my dog is losing it. Come here, buddy. I'll pick you back
my
up.
dog heard your dog.
No.
Come on, pup.
They're doing their own podcast.
Yeah,
The pupcast.
No, yeah. No, like my dog heard his dog through my headphones and she's like, what the fuck are you doing? What's going on over here?
He's mad because he can't. I think my girl came home from work and he needs to get to her, but the door's closed.
Nida's going like, who is going around my house making doggy noises?
This is Zero. He's my homeboy.
That is Satan.
Accurate.
Yeah.
But a lot of these people have been just bloviating over their wealth. And now they haven't been able to run at 100% for 3 weeks. They got $1,200 each one of the workers, each one of everybody got $1,200. That's
so you're saying that everybody in America's got $1,200 and we only have 2 new Patreons.
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong? You give us your checks.
If every one of those people just gave you one of those dollars, whew.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I could quit my job.
No, you couldn't.
Start drinking.
We're already doing that already. We're already checking out of society as it stands.
And start drinking? You wouldn't stop drinking.
You'd have to stop
I
to
think
start.
that's the problem.
I made a mistake.
Hold on.
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
But I think the issue is they don't know what to do when they're at home. And the fact that they're not going to work and making someone billions while they make $50,000 a year, they don't know how to deal with that properly. Like, I understand that I work for a corporation and that corporation makes money and they give me a fee. I completely get that. I think Americans need to take some notes from the UK where they're like, cool, I'm going to stay home. My bills are taken care of. I'll just hang out for a bit. They don't have that in them.
The whole furlough situation is a much more manageable way of doing it, because it's basically like you're told to stay off work, and then you get a subsidy at the end of the month which pays your bills, which allows you to exist for the next month. Whereas what the Trump administration has done is given people a one-off payment, and they just like.
It didn't have to be that,
but that's
unfortunately people voted the rest of it down.
But that's how he solves his problem. That's how he sorts all his infidelities. That's how he sorts his problems. That's how he, believing that he would not solve his problems in the same way now that he did as a private citizen is naive at best. Right?
I think this is a really interesting time for all of us, and it will mean different things, and it will be a different experience for a lot of different people. And I think it's kind of essentially, I guess, we have to understand that we are all human. What I think is right, and I believe you might not. And I don't know. I'm in a space where I tend not to try and defend my beliefs, even when it comes to, veganism or whatever. I'm happy to tell you my beliefs. I'm not going to argue with you, because I think if I get defensive, then you get offensive, and that is the definition of war. And so, to me, I don't think that arguing with someone is going to change their opinion or get them to see things differently. They have to come to that themselves. And that's because that's my experience in life. Like, people can tell me things, but because they're trying to tell me them, I'm not going to listen to them. But if I've come to it by my own realization, then I've been able to digest it. So I don't know. I just think it's a time where I was speaking to my friend Wes, who is American. So he's in America, and he was saying he's really enjoying this time. I mean, obviously, I guess he's in a situation where he doesn't have to worry about money necessarily, but he was saying he's using this time to really work on himself and to see what he can do. But for a lot of people, what you have to remember is that there's so much stuff going on inside that they can't bear to be with themselves. So what's the best distraction? Just to go outside and scream and shout and, and argue with people, because they don't want to essentially have that discussion with themselves.
I think what this whole situation has highlighted is the fragility of our economy, in the sense of this comes along, we have to stop doing what we're doing, and now the government has to step in and help us to get through this until it's over.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are certain industries and certain jobs that will not exist post this.
I really want to change the subject before I get Claira fired on this, because this is.
I'm just so we can. It's not. It's a non-political. It's just an observation.
No, it is political, because what you're doing
I'm talking
UK,
about economics. I'm talking about economics.
Yeah, but that is also political, right? So what you're doing in the UK and what the US is doing and what Sweden is doing and what everybody's doing is based on political. Let's say that they're like Iceland went one right, where they freezed all the mortgages, all the rents, everything, and everybody they did one thing based on their political situation. Sweden went another way. Norway and Finland went another way. But
Denmark went another way.
I'm really trying to measure my words here now.
It's okay for you to say it.
Yeah, just let him say it, and she doesn't have to respond.
So the problem is, right? So when you have a situation like this, the ones who will always suffer the most is the one who needs our protection the most. The poor, the weak, the hungry, the old, and all that, right? And the chickens. Of course, the chickens. We need to think about the chickens. But in that, we need... Wade, poor man.
Sorry, I just hit my mic.
Everybody needs their eggs in the morning. But the point I'm trying to make is that if we're doing this, we need to think about those who's going to suffer the most from what we're doing, and just giving people the severance checks, or whatever you call it. What do you call them? What do you call those checks?
What?
What are those checks called? That you get the $1,200 checks?
Oh, those are stimulus checks.
Yeah, stimulus checks. Severance check is something completely.
Yeah, that's when you.
Yeah, when you get laid off. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you get your stimulus checks. You give people money, but you don't really think about what's happening next. You're just giving them $1,200, and then they're supposed to sort that out. We need to have a more long-term perspective on this, the way I say it. We need to make sure that people are good afterwards. And when I read in the newspaper and I watch on CNN that you're on, what is it now, 14.8 unemployment in the US, 40 million people has been laid off during Corona. That will not be solved by giving people $1,200 in a check. That is not how you fucking solve that problem. That problem is way more complex than that. And if I was intelligent enough to solve that problem, I would not sit on the Ben podcast or driving trucks. I would be doing something completely different. But I do realize that there is a fucking problem there. And that problem is political. That problem is really, really bad. And our next point is that having white men looking like me with all the tattoos and everything, running around with guns, standing in front of the government building because they need to get a haircut. Are you fucking serious right now? Is that a fucking thing right now that you need to go get a fucking haircut? Because that is the biggest issue that I have. How fucking spoiled are we as a fucking species that is a fucking problem and that we need guns because our inalienable fucking rights has been infringed upon because there's a global fucking pandemic out there. Mm-hmm. This is fucking insane. And this is people looking like me doing this, and they need to sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. All right. So, as I said, there has never been a rant on the Bin podcast before.
No, we don't have any controversial political views here.
Jonathan, what do you mean?
Tell us how you really feel. Come on, we've got to.
No, I got a rocket. I got a rocket for all of these fucking wankers.
So I'm gonna jump in here.
And a special place for you on the moon.
Don't make me do it.
A special place on the moon.
Okay.
Push the button.
Okay.
All right. Let's run it back.
Yeah. Let's.
We have a proper lady on here.
Let's wrap this up. Let's finish this, and then we can let Claira on her way from listening to us.
Where was you find a laptop out the window?
No, I got a new laptop. No way this is going out the window.
What'd you get?
MacBook Pro, the bigger one, the biggest one I could get, basically. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
you hear that? She likes them big.
Yeah.
iPad Pro, 4K with flash.
What?
Don't, Brenna.
I can say that.
I can say that.
Oh,
there's nothing wrong with that.
Why are we promoting Tim Apple all of a sudden?
I've been talking about Bezos all fucking day.
I've got an iPhone. If anyone wants to look at that as well, it's nice.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I just scared the shit out of Claira by going on a rant. I think
you're fine.
We're Claira. I'm going to give you the floor. I'm going to give you. Let's give you a minute. Let's tell the people. Let's tell the people what's going on in your life.
60
Make sure that you post all of your social media, your webpage, and everything in the chat so we could get in the description and out to all the people. Then we're going to move over to the after show, and you really don't want to be in.
Yeah, it's not. It's
about
pretty.
to get reckless.
It's not pretty.
After show. I don't know. Now I've got a whole minute to talk. I don't know what I'm going to say. I ordered a new sofa today, everyone, but it won't be here for 18 weeks. So I can wait till September. Right. So that's
yes,
my life. But I'm quite excited about that because I have something called a vision board, which you can probably see reflected in the mirror there. Yeah. On that vision board is that sofa. So winning. Ticking
What's
things
your
off.
cat's name?
Surely. My cat's name is Luna.
That's nice.
Luna the lunatic, as I like to call her. It's a little bit crazy and not quite. She's not a huggable cat, but I'm trying to train her. It's not going very well, but we keep
harass her.
Yeah, I wear this.
She sounds a bit like me, though.
I wear this thick jumper so that I can hug her, and if she scratches me, it doesn't claw.
What's a jumper?
Make me bleed.
Oh,
yeah,
for
sweater.
fuck's sake.
Is it a
It's
sweater? Oh my god! Yeah, maybe it's a sweater. I don't know.
Oh my god!
That was one thing.
No. She just did the California thing. Oh my god! It's so really
Whatever. What's this called?
A hoodie.
I can't believe you just said that to me.
Or a pullover.
Go on, do that. Mikey, do your British accent because it was terrible. I'd like to.
Wayne's been telling me for almost a year now that it's awful. But mine is like a TV British accent because I just don't believe Wayne.
Clara, he goes,
What TV have you ever heard that British accent on?
Clara, he
American
goes from
TV,
Cockney
American
to
TV.
Scouse to Scottish to Welsh.
Yeah. I don't know what shows you've been
You guys
watching.
just make up stuff.
Have you been
No,
watching
but-
Mary Poppins of Dick Van Dyke?
Yeah. No, but
that's
like
not my
even
British
on
or my
your
Cockney.
Instagram feed, people would go like, his accent is all over the place when I was on there for like 3
no
minutes.
one knows where you're from.
Yeah, no one says shit to this fucking guy.
Yeah, because
yes, I do.
Yeah, but that's his actual accent.
He's Norwegian. He learned
Okay.
English from Scots. He lived in America for 2 years, and now he's in fucking Sweden. His accent is perfectly acceptable.
No, but your accent now is perfectly acceptable because that's your accent. But when you do
But
the
it
English,
changes.
go on, do your English accent then. Come on. Before I go.
I'm a bit shy. I don't know what to say.
All right. Yeah, you've definitely been watching Dick Van Dyke.
It's been off TV for 50 years.
No.
Do you need a tune
No.
this week, Gagner?
No,
Every day.
he's just been watching dicks. Forgot about Van Dyke's.
Okay. This is going off the rails yet again.
This is
Clara.
overrun stuff.
All right.
Let's-
So let's wrap this. Clara, I'm so happy that you were here. We're so happy to have you. It's been absolute fucking treat for everybody. Hope to see you again soon. I hope to see your dad in a Patreon exclusive.
Oh, yes. I forgot.
Yes,
Yeah.
that would be absolutely amazing.
That would be
if if you could set that up, that would be absolutely fantastic. But
The only problem with him is that we get him on radio sometimes, and it's really funny because he just doesn't talk.
He's got no filter.
He doesn't say anything.
Don't talk to us.
This is him.
No. I'm gonna get it going on like trucks and shit.
You shut me in. I don't want to be like that. I want to be jump out when I want.
I'm going to send. I wish I'd got that bit about Jeremy Vine. I would
Jeremy Pike,
No, Jeremy Vine.
Pike or Vine.
Oh yeah!
And things pick up and they go, oh, Jeremy, I'm so upset.
So that's just a little bit.
We're booking it.
It is
Please
funny.
make that happen for us.
I'll speak to
Clara,
him.
if you do that, you would be our eternal patron, and you will always get access to our fucking Patreon calls on
Yeah.
the last weekends. Like, if you could get your dad on, and we could do a Patreon exclusive with him. We're not going to stream that live.
Yeah,
We're just going to do. We're going to do a Patreon exclusive with him, and that would be fucking amazing. Clara, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You are an absolute fucking darling. Take care of yourself. Good luck on all your endeavors. Everybody out there, make sure that you check out her radio show, her Instagram, her webpage, her Facebook page, and everything in between. And every Saturday, she's doing speed dating. So all the boys out there, make sure you get your dates in, light your candles, get a bottle of wine, sit down with Clara and have a good time and sing her a song. All right. Thank you.
Look forward to it. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.
See you later.
And done.
Davis.
Pause us.
We're in the ending screen.
Yeah,
Cool.
all right. What? We don't. Are we done now? Oh, yeah, but are we going into the after talk? Like, are we doing politics? Seriously, we're not doing politics after this week.
Wow. I need like a
Times
15-minute break before I get into anything else.
All right. Let's do a 15-minute break.
Yeah, I need a little bit of time.